I remember the first time I ran my fingers across the polished glass counter of my store.
Smooth. Cool.
Perfectly reflective, almost like it was showing me a version of myself I had fought so long to become. Now, I stand here every morning, heels clicking against marble floors, the faint scent of Italian leather handbags mingling with freshly brewed espresso drifting from the boutique cafe corner. Customers glide in and out, their voices hushed, their eyes wide with desire. To them, I am just the poised woman behind the empire.
To me,
I'm the girl who was once told she'd never have anything of her own. My silk blouse clings lightly to my shoulders as I adjust the diamond watch on my wrist, the one I bought myself after my first million in sales. A reminder that everything I wear, everything I own, was built from the ashes of what was once taken from me. Then my phone buzzes. I glance down at the screen, and my breath catches. A name I thought I'd buried in the past.
Ethan.
My cousin. The cousin who once stole the only gift that ever truly meant something to me. The one betrayal that cut deeper than I'd ever admit. And now, here he is, standing at the entrance of my luxury store. His eyes sweeping across the chandeliers, the velvet seats, the gilded shelves, and finally, landing on me. For a moment, neither of us speaks. But oh, the silence is heavy. It wasn't always marble floors and glass displays. Back then, my world was small. Just a cramped bedroom with peeling wallpaper, a second-hand desk, and the sound of my cousin Ethan's laughter echoing down the hall whenever I stumbled. I was 16 when everything shifted. My grandmother, the only person who seemed to see me, not the awkward, quiet girl, but the dreamer with sketches stuffed inside her notebooks, called me to her room. Her hands trembled as she held out a small velvet box. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet, nothing extravagant, but etched with her initials and mine, intertwined. "This," she whispered, her eyes shining, "isn't just jewelry, sweetheart. It's a reminder. No matter what the world takes from you, your worth is your own. Never forget that." I wore it every day, like armor, until Ethan noticed. He was older, sharper-tongued, already carrying himself like the heir to the family's respect. To him, I was an easy target. "A bracelet won't make you successful," he sneered one afternoon, cornering me in the kitchen. I still remember the clatter of dishes, the sting in my chest. "You'll never own anything real." And then he took it, just slipped it off my wrist as if it was his right. I remember my hands shaking, my throat tightening, the words caught somewhere between a scream and a sob. But no one stepped in. My parents dismissed it as childish rivalry. "It's just a bracelet," they said. "Don't make a fuss." But it wasn't just a bracelet. It was my grandmother's belief in me. That night, lying awake, I pressed my palm against my bare wrist and made myself a promise. If Ethan believed I'd never own anything real, then I'd prove him wrong. Not by begging for what was stolen, but by building something no one could take from me. The bracelet was gone. But the fire it sparked inside me, that was mine to keep. And it would become the foundation of everything I was about to create. Dreams don't grow overnight. Mine started in the back corner of a local cafe where I worked shifts after school, sketching handbag designs on napkins when business was slow. My fingers always smelled faintly of espresso grounds, and my eyes burned from lack of sleep, but in those moments, I felt alive. I wasn't just a girl with nothing. I was a creator, a builder. At first, I didn't know where to begin. Fashion school was out of reach, money-wise. But YouTube tutorials, secondhand textbooks, and hours of practice on an old sewing machine became my silent teachers. I pricked my fingers so many times that little dots of blood stained my early prototypes. My parents thought I was wasting my time. Ethan, of course, laughed whenever he saw me bent over fabric. "You're chasing fairy tales," he'd smirk. But fairy tales, I learned, are just blueprints for those stubborn enough to keep believing. One day, while serving coffee, I met her. Mrs. Lane. A regular customer, sharp bob haircut, elegant silk scarves, the kind of woman who looked like she carried the world in her briefcase. She noticed my sketchbook peeking from under the counter. "You draw these?" she asked. My heart nearly stopped. I nodded. expecting her to laugh. Instead, she smiled. You have an eye. Don't waste it. Mrs. Lane became my first mentor. She introduced me to suppliers, taught me the language of quality, Italian leather, French stitching, the kind of details that turned a bag into an heirloom. She never gave me handouts, only guidance. Earn it, she'd say. And I did. Nights were brutal, balancing shifts, coursework, and stitching until dawn. I cried into fabric scraps more times than I'll admit. Self-doubt whispered constantly, "You're not good enough. You'll fail like they said you would." But then, my first sale happened. A woman bought one of my handbags at a flea market, running her hand along the stitching and gasping, "This feels expensive." She paid me more than I expected, and for the first time, I felt the bracelet on my wrist again, not in reality but in spirit. Small wins stacked slowly, a loyal client, an online order, then a boutique agreeing to stock 3 of my designs. Each success was a secret I guarded. My family thought I was just making ends meet. I let them believe it.
It was safer that way.
Years passed. My nights of ramen noodles turned into mornings of cappuccinos in Paris, meeting suppliers who now treated me with respect. My name began to carry weight in the fashion circuit. Investors called. Designers envied. And still, Ethan never knew. Because sometimes, silence is the sharpest revenge. What he stole was a bracelet. What I built was an empire. The bell above the glass door chimed softly, its delicate note carrying through the store like a ripple. I looked up and there he was, Ethan. My cousin. My thief. My ghost from the past. He hadn't changed much, though the sharp arrogance I remembered was dulled now, replaced with a restless unease in his eyes. His suit was expensive, but not well kept, his tie knotted in haste. He stood frozen just inside the entrance, taking in the grandeur around him. Chandeliers dripping crystal light, glass displays lined with handbags that gleamed like art pieces, the faint aroma of French perfume lingering in the air. I said nothing at first. I wanted him to see, to absorb, to let the silence choke him as it once choked me. Finally, he approached the counter, his voice catching as though unsure of its own authority. You work here? A small smile touched my lips. Work here? I echoed softly.
No, Ethan.
I own this place. He blinked, stunned. I let the weight of those words sink in as I gestured around us. Every detail you see, from the Italian marble beneath your shoes to the gold-plated hinges on those doors, I chose them. I built this. His mouth opened, then closed again, as though the reality was too heavy to swallow. But how? You? I mean...
Yes.
Me? I cut in, my voice calm but edged with steel. The same girl you once said would never own anything real. The same cousin you stripped of her only gift. His eyes flickered. He remembered. The bracelet. My grandmother's words. The look on my face when he stole it. For the first time, I saw something foreign in Ethan's expression, shame. I walked slowly around the counter, my heels tapping against the marble, each step deliberate, powerful. You took something that wasn't yours. And for years, I let that pain drive me. You thought you broke me, but you lit a fire that built this. I stopped just inches away from him. My perfume hung between us, sweet but sharp, like victory itself. Do you know what these handbags sell for? I asked, gesturing toward a shelf lined with my signature designs. Each one is worth more than the car you drove here in, and they sell out every season. He swallowed hard, his voice low. I didn't know. Of course you didn't, I replied, tilting my head. You never looked past your own reflection long enough to see anyone else, least of all me. For a long moment, the store was silent except for the faint hum of soft music overhead. Customers browsed quietly, oblivious to the storm unraveling in front of them. Ethan looked around again, his pride crumbling with every detail his eyes absorbed. Finally, he whispered, "You did all this without us?" "Yes," I said firmly. "Without you. Without the family who never believed in me. Without anyone but myself. And the people who saw my worth when you all refused to." His shoulders sagged. His arrogance had evaporated, replaced by something almost childlike, almost desperate. I need help, he admitted. Business hasn't been good. I thought maybe you could invest. Or, at least loan me something. You have so much. I let his words hang in the air. The same cousin who once laughed at my dreams, now standing in my store, asking for my help. Oh, how tables turn. I leaned against the counter, folding my arms as I studied him. Ethan, the cousin who once stripped me of my worth with a smirk, was now reduced to this. Shoulders hunched, voice trembling, pride cracked wide open. You need help, I repeated softly, almost to myself. My tone wasn't mocking, just measured, controlled. I let the silence stretch, the same way he once let my humiliation stretch. He nodded quickly.
Yes.
Just a loan. I know you're successful, and I'll pay you back, I swear. Things just haven't been going well. The market's brutal, investors pulled out and… I raised a hand, stopping his excuses midair. You don't need to convince me, Ethan. I believe you. I believe your business is failing. He winced, but I pressed on, my voice firm yet calm. But I won't just hand you money, because that would be too easy. And easy is exactly what ruined you in the first place. His jaw tightened. So, what then? I straightened, my heels clicking as I circled him slowly, each word precise. If you want my help, it comes with conditions. Conditions, he echoed. Yes. I stopped in front of him, meeting his eyes head-on. First, you work. No shortcuts, no handouts. If I back you, you'll start from the ground up. Inventory, accounting, late nights, all of it. You'll know what it means to earn. He swallowed. All right. Second, I continued. You drop the arrogance. No belittling, no sneering at others trying to climb. You treat every person with respect, whether they're sweeping floors or signing checks. His face flushed, but he nodded. Third, I said, my voice softening slightly, you learn humility. Real humility. Because money isn't success, Ethan.
Character is.
And until you fix that, no amount of investment will save you. He shifted uncomfortably, as though the weight of my words pressed heavier than the chandeliers above us. And lastly, I added, leaning closer, you acknowledge what you did.
To me.
To our grandmother's gift. To the girl you thought would never own anything real. If you want a future, Ethan, you start by facing your past. For the first time, his eyes glossed with something I'd never seen in him before. Regret. Genuine, raw regret. He opened his mouth, then closed it, as if the apology was too jagged to speak. Those are my conditions, I said, stepping back, my tone final. Not negotiable. Take them or walk out of my store with nothing. The air between us was heavy, charged with years of history, betrayal, and unspoken wounds. Ethan looked around once more at the luxury surrounding him, the empire I had built from ashes. Then slowly he nodded. I'll do it, he whispered. And in that moment, the balance of power shifted forever. Weeks passed after that confrontation, and to my surprise, Ethan showed up. Not in a suit, not with bravado, but in rolled-up sleeves and worn-out shoes. He stacked boxes in the stockroom, logged inventory late at night, even brewed coffee for the team without complaint. The arrogance that once defined him began to peel away, layer by layer. The staff watched with quiet curiosity. Some doubted he'd last a week. But each day he returned, shoulders heavier, but gaze steadier. He wasn't the cousin who once mocked me anymore. He was just a man learning how to work, how to respect, how to rebuild. I kept my distance, but I saw the changes. And one evening, as I was locking up, he approached me. No smirk, no excuses, just sincerity. I'm sorry, he said simply. His voice cracked. For the bracelet. For the words. For all of it. For a moment, the girl I used to be stirred inside me. The one who cried into her pillow, clutching an empty wrist. And then, slowly, I reached into my drawer and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was not the original bracelet that had long vanished. Instead, It was one I had commissioned years ago, identical in design, but stronger, finer, with my brand's insignia delicately woven into the clasp. My grandmother's words never left me. I told him quietly, "No matter what the world takes from you, your worth is your own." That's what you tried to steal. But I never let you. His eyes filled, and for once he said nothing, just listened. I closed the box and slipped it back into the drawer. The bracelet was never about gold or initials, Ethan. It was about belief. And now I don't need it to remember who I am. I became her. That night, as I walked through my store, the chandeliers casting golden light across the marble floors, I realized something. The pain, the betrayal, the endless nights, it had all led me here. Stronger, wiser, untouchable. Ethan once took my gift. But in losing it, I discovered my greatest one, the power to build an empire no one could steal. And now, the luxury is mine.